Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and I'm once again joined by my lovely co-host Angel.
Welcome back. How you doing?
Good, good, good. We took a couple of week break because real life was getting in the way, but we're back, and we're gonna make up for that break with 2 weeks worth of Poor Charles: Time in a Bottle. This time we're covering weeks 8 and 9, so we're coming around to the end of it. So I will roll the credits, and we'll get right into it. So because of our extended break, I forgot where we left off, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Frank found the note behind the brick at Kelly's. So I was like, all right, I'm back in it. I know where we are now.
Yeah.
He thinks he's going crazy because how could he have this old note from 1973? Allison wants to call the cafe at the bike shop Muffins and Mufflers.
Mufflers.
And she's like, maybe we should think of a different name. I'm like,
Yeah.
Zach shows Jamal pictures of Allison and Jack at the, what was it? It was a lockbox or
It was a
box?
post office box, PO box, I think.
Yeah. Getting the $25,000 that she thinks is from her grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of coerces Jamal into agreeing to race, not without Jamal putting up a fight.
Yep.
Eve is excited that Karen is a match for Ariana, but Karen says she can't do it because she can't be a donor because she's an addict.
Mm-hmm.
Have the anesthesia. She's afraid that it'll cause her to want to fall off the wagon
Again.
I actually want to see. No. Marie Wilson didn't play her falling off the wagon, right? It was the previous actress.
On Poor Charles or on GH?
On Poor Charles.
I think that was Marie Wilson. I think because I know Marie Wilson started in '99. And then I remember I said before that like, oh, it was how they recasted her. So, but I was like, let me look into that. So it turns out that Jennifer Hammond, who previously played her, I don't think she played any of the drug addiction stuff. She did play stripping, which was on the first episode of Poor Charles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you want like that, like kind of connection to the past with Jennifer Hammond, that was it.
Yeah.
But I think Marie Wilson played most of the drug, her second.
Oh, okay.
Because she started in '99, and then when Jennifer Hammond left, it was a few days, and then Marie Wilson took over. It wasn't like that she left for rehab and then Marie Wilson took over.
See, I thought that's how it went. I thought she went to
I thought it was
as Marie Wilson.
I thought it was two, but then it turned out I was like, wait, I'm wrong. So
Jamal accuses Jack of setting Allison up because he's in the picture with her. He thinks that he's working with Zach and his crew.
Because of Sam.
Jack explains the circumstances of Allison and him going to the lockbox, that they got the envelope with the key and it said, don't tell Jamal. And this is when Jamal ultimately decides that he's going to race to pay off Allison's debt or get her off the hook. Mm-hmm. Allison runs out so happy that all her dreams are coming true.
No, Allison.
I'm like, oh, you poor girl, you don't know.
Poor sweet summer child.
Frank goes home, still drinking and yelling at Nellie/Cookie. And the screen pops on. And I didn't catch what the screen said in that moment, but I did see it in the next episode, and I don't know if it's the same message, but it was like, you're her only friend or something like that. She needs you. You're her only friend.
Yeah, which it seems like it's not from Nellie. It's from like a different entity.
It's not from Cookie. It's from like Nellie.
I mean, not Nellie. Cookie. Yeah. It seems like it's not from Cookie. It's from a different entity, which could be Nellie.
Yeah. So the second episode of the week was your birthday episode. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So now whenever I take notes with Joe in it, I write Joseph. I don't even put Joe.
Joseph.
So I have Chris Joseph and
Ian.
Ian. Sorry, it autocorrected to Lana, and I'm like, who's Lana? Like, I couldn't even like make sense. They're looking over Ariana's case and looking for a donor match. Chris brings up Eve, and Ian says he doesn't want to hear Ariana and Eve's name in the same sentence ever again, just as Eve walks in.
Mm-hmm.
Cookie is at Kelly's in 1973 and being made fun of by two mean girls about not having a date to the dance. And she kind of was like, I do have a date to the dance and I am going. And they're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which causes her to go home and drink. And she makes a phone call. And I wasn't sure who it was, but I guess it was Scott.
I think it was Scott because of what happens later, or what doesn't happen later.
I will say over these last 2 weeks, I feel like the glaring, like, missing piece of the puzzle is that Scott hasn't really been involved. He's only been mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, he's in the credits. Like, just right for the winner. Eve is certain they will find a donor for Ariana, but she's not saying that Karen is a match because Karen asked her not to say anything because she's not really fully on board with donating. So I didn't even think about it, like, because I forgot what she needed. It was a liver match, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't even think that they could just take like a piece and it like regenerates. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
So Nellie has her only friend on the screen, and Frank is yelling and gets stuck on the edge of the computer as if like Nellie's like pulling him back.
Get off my computer.
Like, don't walk away from me.
Computer said that. Get off of me.
Karen finds Frank and gets mad that he's drunk after what happened with her mother, either that night or a couple of days ago when she showed up drunk. Karen just confides in Frank that she was a match for Ariana. She tells him she fears her fears of being an addict and falling off the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Cookie continues to get drunk, and she's like, I'll show them.
I'll show them. And fighting words.
Ian was visited by his ghost sister, or hallucination of his sister, asking him what he's praying for. He said he's praying for Ariana to be okay and that he can't stop loving Eve. Eve gives Ian hope by telling him there is a donor that is deciding if they want to go through with it. She says there's a very good chance. And then there's like a music montage of like the couples. I think this is when Frank and Karen made love during this music montage.
Yeah, that's when Frank and Karen made love. I forgot what song it was too.
It was a song I didn't know, so I wondered if it was a real song because soap net.
Yeah, yeah, because I thought it was the ABC version, but I guess it was the SoapNet version. But I guess it was a fake song. So,
but okay, we will get to. There was a later thing where there was real music and it was a SoapNet. Eve is on the phone with Karen, trying to convince Karen that to be Ariana's donor. And Karen says, "Once an addict, always an addict." And Frank comes to see her to try and get her to forgive him and give him another chance. Ian sits by Ariana's bedside. I will say it was nice to have a very crumbs of Ariana. Like, she was mentioned, yeah. We didn't really see her.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to just see her unconscious. I know that sounds terrible, but just not speaking.
I guess she's look, it's her story, but we don't want it to be her story. We want it to be even Ian and Karen and everybody else's story but her.
Yeah. She's the center of the story, but we don't care about her.
Yeah. This is not Maxie.
He falls asleep and he wakes up in bed next to Eve, yelling Ariana's name. Eve says that must have been some dream. And she tells him she's never leaving him. And it's shown that he fell asleep next to Ariana's bed. Like, this isn't like really happening.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't fall for that one because that was clearly, obviously a dream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's obviously a dream. That was
Sometimes
obviously.
they get me, but not this time. Frank forces Karen to see him. He just basically like barges into her place. He tells her that he's so afraid of losing her and screwing this up. He asks for another chance to make it right and be the kind of man that she deserves. Lucy spots Eve being upset and wonders if she can help, and Eve blames Lucy for the whole Ariana situation.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin overhears and he tells Eve to back off. And then Eve kind of has like a lucid moment because she's like, oh my God, I'm being a bitch. And Lucy's just kind of like, yeah. But she's like, but been there and I own the t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Ian continues to dream about being in bed with Eve. And when he pulls away from kissing her, it's Ariana in bed with him. And she's bleeding and blaming him for not protecting her. And he jumps off the bed yelling for Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of like, I don't think I was paying too close attention. Someone appears. I don't know if it was a priest or...
It was the guy from the island.
Oh, it was a guy from the
Later
island.
see. Yep.
Oh, okay.
It was the guy from the island. I'm forgetting his name. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Boo. I'm forgetting your name.
I forgot his name too. I
Yeah.
don't remember his name.
Yeah, but he appears later on.
Yeah. So maybe that's how he got the idea to call him.
I guess so, yeah.
In that dream. I didn't even think about that because also I didn't realize it was him. Eve finds Chris and tells him she's going to be tested and be Ariana's donor. She seemed pretty adamant. Like,
she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a match. Like, it's fine. You know, everything's gonna be perfect, peachy keen. You know."
I was also getting the vibe that she was like, "I don't care if I'm not a match. She's getting my liver."
Yeah. Okay. I need this girl out of my life. I need this girl out of my life.
Just cut it out of me and give her my liver.
Chris, that's how give her the liver.
She says she feels it in her heart that she'll be the one to save Ariana. And then I put real music playing during the montage of Frank and Karen kissing and making love. So,
what song that is, though.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was like, maybe it's a country song. I wasn't really into country back then.
Yeah, I'm not into country.
I am a little bit more now, but not like crazy. And also, I'm only into like 5 years ago country, not like current country.
Yeah, I'm like a straight line. Like when it comes to like when I was a teenager and now when it comes to country music, never into it.
I think Carrie Underwood kind of started opening my horizons to it.
Yeah, I heard a little bit of her music. That's still like, you know, maybe little dips, you know, little in and out and stuff like that. But like the Chicks was really the only thing I was into. So
the Chicks.
Yeah, that's what they're called now. They're not the Dixie Chicks anymore.
Jamal tells Jack he's thinking about going to the cops, and Jack says, why would he do that when most of them are dumber than a bag of hammers? Just as Garcia walks in and says, oh, is that so?
Is that so?
So the actor that's playing Garcia, I've said this before, that he was on Days as Nicole Walker's father.
Yes.
So this was end of April 2001, literally May, June, July. 3 months later, he was on Days.
So I think they might have wrote his character out. He's recurring anyway, so it's easy to write that. To write him out. So
Ian walks in on Chris taking Eve's blood, and he asks what's going on here. She says she's going to be Ariana's donor. She's like, no,
I'm going to be Ariana's donor.
It's almost like no matter how many times Ian tells her don't get involved, stay out of it, she's like, I'm gonna help. Garcia orders coffee and a donut from Allison. And he warns Jamal he'll be stopping by from time to time, checking to make sure there's no hot bikes in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Allison wants to know what Jamal and Jack have been whispering about, and Jamal says work. Livy has the day off and wants Jack to come with her by the water, and he says he has to work on a bike. She says first last night and now today. and wonder. I thought this was a little over the top. She's like, "What happened to make you stop wanting to be with me?" or something like that. I was just like, "Calm down.
Calm down, Livy. Come on.
That's so clingy."
You're up here. You want to bring it down to like right there.
She's like, "Why don't you want to be with me anymore?" Frank and Karen are in the afterglow, and she has decided that she wants to be the donor for Ariana.
All it took was good sex.
Right. Cookie gets a phone call from a girl from school saying she knows she isn't coming to the dance with the guy she obviously drools over. Cookie hangs up and says, this is when she says she'll show them, and starts drinking. Frank tells Karen about the note he found at Kelly's. So it's like no matter how many times he says he's going to change and not talk about Nellie and Cookie, he can't help himself, which frustrates Karen. Jamal has a plan to bring down Zach. He wants Jack to watch after Allison. And Frank and Cookie chat through the computer. He asks her if she's drunk. She says she knows how to make a guy happy. He says how, and she says give him what he really wants. So this felt a little poorly edited, but all of a sudden Jamal is on the docks looking for Zach, and he's wearing a wire. I feel like they just said it like we knew that, and I don't think they said it before.
Yeah.
He just said, I have a plan, and then all of a sudden he's wired. He's like, I'm gonna bring him down. This is when I felt like it was getting like breakneck speed, like things were just like happening, and I was like, whoa, this is really quick for a soap opera. He calls Jack at the shop to tell him Zach didn't show. And this was a SoapNet episode, but Jumpin' by Destiny's Child was playing in the
Yes, that's what it was. Yep. It was Jumpin'. I was like, wait a minute. And then I rewound it. I listened to it. I was like, wait, this song's familiar. Like, oh, it's Jumpin'.
It's funny because the music that they play for that time period was already like, I feel like a year or two old. Some producer was like, yeah, we'll play this hit music.
I think it's because like they, as it goes down the charts, it makes less money and they can afford it. So
I wonder if they paid for it though.
That's what I'm wondering too.
Because I saw, just to go off topic for a second, I saw a reel or GIF, and it was like that time that Beyonce held a grudge because Glee didn't pay to use her music.
Ooh. She
was singing Who Run the World Girls, and she got in Matthew Morrison's face when she was like, cut my check. That was like... So I wonder if they even like paid them or if they just used their money. It's fine. Because this was also kind of like around the time like Napster, like Metallica was like suing for their like royalties and stuff. So I feel like there was like a gray area when it came to music.
Yeah.
Frank pleads with Cookie not to go to the dance. He tells her he got her note and she wants him to prove it. He tells her what the note said, and she thinks this is so weird. Frank tells Cookie that if she goes to the dance, it will ruin her whole life. Now, this is very confusing to me. Because when Cookie died, right, was it at the dance? Because I felt like Rhonda said that she was supposed to be picked up by her sister at school, and she wasn't there. So I don't understand.
I don't know either. I didn't think about it that way. I guess considering what happens later, I don't think Cookie is alive. I think it's just that another thing happens.
Eve is by Ariana's bedside, and she tells Ian that Ariana wakes up and she tells them that she knows she's going to die. Like, she's accepted that she's dying. Jamal agrees to race for Zach to wipe out Allison's debt, but he's going to do it in a legitimate way. He's not going to throw the race or anything. Frank continues to plead with Cookie not to go to the dance, and she doesn't understand. And he can only tell her that if she goes, she is vulnerable to getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Ian tries to get Ariana to stop talking about dying, and she says she has been thinking about it a lot and accepts it. And Eve is at a bar. Was that Jake's?
I think so. Yeah, I was thinking it was Jake's. Because that was you know where Frank was at before when he was talking with the bartender and the bartender didn't believe him?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was Jake's too. I'm not 100% sure.
My note actually says Eve is at a bar, not the recovery room.
Not the recovery room, nope.
And Chris finds her, and he stops her from drinking because she's pregnant. Frank goes to the hospital looking for Karen, and Joseph has no idea who he's talking about.
How did you call him Joseph?
And that was the end of the first week.
Mm-hmm.
Or week 8. And we start week 9 with Sam almost running down Allison with her bike. And Allison wanted to fight her. Like she was like ready.
I know when I think of Sam, every time you say Sam, I think of McCall. And not I don't think I'm like, oh, Livy's on the show. Wait a minute. So I have to like course correct.
I had a moment like that too because I was looking over my notes and I was like, who's Sam? Because I was thinking like Sam. And I'm like, oh, Samantha, but they call her Sam. Because I'm like thinking Sam is a guy. I'm like, who is Sam? All right, so this is where I like really just wanted to pay attention to the show, so I didn't really take like notes this week. There was a lot happening. Frank is running around town trying to get people to believe or know who Karen Wexler is, and they think he's crazy.
Yeah, because Karen went to answer the phone and she disappeared.
Yes.
Yes. And I like how everybody is placed when Karen leaves the world, leaves existence.
Mm-hmm.
Not dies, but she just. So to explain this to viewers, she just disappears right after Frank tells Cookie, who is Rhonda, that it was Karen's mother, Rhonda, that not to have sex with Scott, which would conceive Karen, and now.
Gotcha.
That's how she's gone. But where people are placed, it's placed where like Karen is not anywhere around.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chris and Eve are together. Even like the people at the bike shop who have interacted with Karen before, because remember that dinner from a few weeks back?
Mm-hmm.
They were all at the bike shop. Ian, I forgot where Ian was at. If I remember correctly.
He was either at Ariana's bedside. I think it was
Ariana's bedside. So they were placed. Yeah, so they were all placed to where like they didn't see Karen, therefore they don't know who Karen is.
Right. Frank even like goes back to his garage and the computer's not there.
Yeah.
So it's like, even I was like, well, crap. Like, how are we gonna like fix this? Like, give
I'm like, ooh.
I'm like, we only got like 4 weeks left. How are we gonna wrap this up? He goes to Rhonda's, or no, he finds Rhonda at Jake's, and she at this point has been an alcoholic her entire life. He tries to convince her because she admits that she was talking to somebody on her father's computer back in 1973, and he's like, it's me, and she's just like, okay, you were like 3 years old, calm down. I'm drunk. And he like tells her about the note, and like he tells her what it said, which kind of makes her think he's telling the truth, but she thinks it's weird and whatever. So he eventually ends up like breaking into her house, which I guess is her childhood home, because he gets down to the basement where the computer would be that she was typing to him is. And I was like, oh, maybe this is how he does it with this computer. Also, so they bought. Wait, no. Was that computer supposed to be Nellie?
The other computer or the one that disappeared?
The one that's in the basement that Cookie was typing to him. Like, was she typing to him through Nellie? So it was like Nellie in two different time frames because it looked old.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's Nellie in 2 time frames.
Because if there was another old computer like that, why wouldn't Karen just be like, "Oh, my grandfather had a computer like this. It's still in our basement."
Yeah, or unless, but remember, Frank had to like pull down like some. There were some like wooden planks on there, and he had to pull them down. So I'm guessing that like it got sealed somehow.
I wonder why. Right? Maybe we'll find out.
Yeah.
Ian has
take note of this for later.
Ian has decided that he wants to take Ariana back to their home, their flat, as she said. I guess to die with dignity. And I'm like, that feels dangerous. Like, shouldn't she be hooked up to machines to keep her alive if she needs a liver like dialysis or something? But okay.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, so Joseph, Kevin, was there somebody else there? They end up being at Rhonda's house, and Kevin is talking with Frank. And he actually is kind of having like a therapy session with him. So he kind of asked him to describe Cookie, and he does, and he draws her. And I was like, oh, I didn't know Kevin was like an artist also.
Well, no, it was Karen. It was Karen that he wanted to describe because
it was Karen.
It was Karen. Yep, describe Karen for me. Then he draws. I'm surprised Elizabeth wasn't like the guest star appearance right here, or Elizabeth here. Here's a pad, draw Karen.
So this is another point that confused me. Because we now see Cookie's face, but she's not Marie Wilson. And I guess that's because we now know that Cookie is Rhonda.
Yeah, so I guess because there was a little bit of resemblance to the actress who plays Rhonda, I guess that's why they hit her face. But
we've seen a picture, so we know Caroline, her sister that died, looks like Karen. I almost called her Marie. So I guess that's a twist. Cookie's not who we thought she was.
Yeah, Cookie's not who we thought she was. So Cookie, like I said, Cookie is Rhonda. Hence why Karen no longer exists, because Frank took her out of existence by accident. I remember reading the comments to that one episode where somebody said, "Lord, she's gonna unexist Karen." Like get Karen out of existence.
Greg walked in when I was watching it, and he's like, "Why do I know her?" And I'm like, "That's Rhonda." So I had to like remind him she was on GH, and I was like, "She's with Scott." He's like, "Ah, yes." And he was also like, "Why is Frank going crazy?" So I told him like the circumstances. He's like, "Oh, butterfly effect." I'm like, "Yeah."
There we go.
He's like, "I'm well aware," and I'm like, "Okay." he likes sci-fi.
But who did the butterfly effect first? Like the movie, like that
came out in 2004.
So Port Charles did it first.
I mean, I don't know if it was a book or if it's based on a book. But who knows?
Yeah, but butterfly effect, I'm sure it's been around for decades, years.
Yeah. What else happened? Oh, so I was a little confused about Eve getting tested, going to like a gynecologist or OBGYN with Chris and using a fake name. She said her name was Eve Miller, and he pretended to be her husband, Mr. Miller.
Chris Miller.
Yeah. Why did they do that?
I guess because, well, it's Port Charles. HIPAA violations get broken all the time. I'm guessing they do that so that way if Ian were to happen to look in Eve's file, nothing would be there indicating a pregnancy.
Gotcha.
That's where my mind took it, because it's like, okay, HIPAA violations get broken on soaps all the time. We're gonna just kind of that's how we're gonna do that. So,
and she kind of has a moment where she's gonna tell Ian, but he seems so distracted with trying to get Ariana a donor.
mhm.
And Chris thinks that they should get married, and I guess he's gonna pretend to be the father.
Yeah, because that's did it happen? Did that happen? No, because Christina really is Chris's child. So I
Christina,
feel like that's happened before with Chris. I feel like Chris has done this before.
really, like pre-arc.
Like pre-arc, yeah. Like he is not gotten married to like make the baby like the name of name the baby, but I think it has something to do with Christina and Jolie.
It almost feels like in current day on Days of Our Lives with Rex and Sarah, with Rex pretending to be the father, but Xander's the father.
Yep.
Soap trope.
Soap trope. Yep.
So Frank is talking to Ian, and he's just trying to convince him that he's not crazy and he's telling the truth. And he tells him about Karen telling him that him and Eve are meant to be together, not just forever, but for always. And then he continues to talk, and Ian's like, "Wait, what did you just say?" Because that like, triggered him. And he's like, "How would you know that?" And he's like, "Because Karen told me." He's like, "I'm not that close with well, did he say I'm not that close with Karen? No, I'm not that close with Eve, and you didn't tell me, so how would I have known that?" So now Ian's antennas are like, "Okay, what's happening?"
Here we go. What's happening?
Oh, Rhonda drank so much that she passed out, and she had to be rushed to General Hospital. And we find out she has cirrhosis of the liver. Which sucks because she's a good match for Ariana. And at first I was like, are they really gonna still go through with this though? After they did like a whole ad for like a real life, like call the donor hotline. I'm like, because that doesn't feel responsible to give somebody that has cirrhosis. Like, yeah, it's fine. She's a match. We'll just give her a little piece.
I don't think they're gonna do it though. I think they're just like, we're gonna drop it because like.
Yeah, it sounded like they were going in that direction. That they were just like, oh crap.
It's like, oh crap, we're not doing this.
Just take Eve. She wants to give hers. But prior to Ian's conversation with Frank, he got the guy from the island to come to the apartment to see Ariana. And he's certain that Ariana is going to survive. So I don't know how they're going to do that. Because Karen was the match, and Karen is not with us.
No longer in existence.
And Ariana's got like really bad bags under her eyes. She looks like she's like on the cusp of not living anymore. So all this because our freaking brother stabbed her.
Yeah, but all this because Frank couldn't keep his stuff out of his business. Couldn't keep himself out of a computer's business. Well, right. A teenage girl from 1973, but.
Well, they did introduce this in Fate, so maybe it was fate for him to find Nellie and for all this.
Yeah, it was fate.
It's weird because they like started off like hardcore with like the past lives flashbacks and everything, and then I feel like they didn't really do anything in the middle, and now we're like back to like time travel and like. Also, a little tidbit that happened: Lucy, Kevin, Livy, and Jack had dinner together.
My favorite part. Buns.
Hot buns.
Hot buns.
She was like, "This is so hot."
Like that, everybody had an innuendo. Everybody had an innuendo to like interrupt each other.
Right. Am I missing anything? Is there anything you remember?
So the dinner part. So Livy was like, there's something wrong with my grandmom. It's her grandmom, I think. Something wrong with my grandmom, and she said we gotta go check on her because like she says she's making up a guy that she's with, and then they go to her apartment. And
Archery or Archer, something like that.
yeah. And the guy is there.
Mhm.
And then like I forgot what Lucy says. And then like you can tell that like Brian Priestley and Kelly Monaco were like holding a laugh.
Really?
We're trying not to break character, so
Oh, big thing I forgot actually. Amanda Barrington comes to the shop. And I chuckled because she runs into Jamal outside and he's like, Granny, what are you doing here? I love it when he calls her Granny. And she comes inside and Jamal's like, I have to go race. And Jack's like, you need to keep an eye on Allison and make sure she doesn't bring up the $25,000 because she thinks that her grandmother gave it to her. And Amanda was a little bit shady. She walked in and she's like, oh, I'm surprised to see how not busy you are. Like, I was like, calm down. I was like, are you? And she's like, it doesn't even smell like a bike shop. And they were like, oh, it's all Allison's doing. And I'm like, this still feels like a faulty concept. It feels unsanitary to have food in a bike shop. But it does end up coming out that Amanda did not give her the money. And she leaves. And Allison knows Jack must know. She's like, you and Jamal have been whispering, like, where did this money come from? And he's not saying anything. And then a guy whose bike broke down on his way to the race that Jamal's going to be at comes in. And there's a flyer with Sam on it. Samantha, not Sam McCall.
Yeah, so that's Sam McCall.
And she says, I forgot what she called her, but she was basically like, this hoe that tried to run me over.
Leather slut hoe.
Like this biker slut hoe thing.
Biker slut hoe. Slut shaming.
I mean, what's her name? Livy should have been more mad because she caught her trying to seduce Jack, so she should hate her just as much.
Yeah, exactly.
She should be like, yeah, let's get that bitch. So she puts two and two together that Jamal's at this race and she goes running off. I love when Allison gets all feisty and mad and wants to fight.
Yep.
So that was a big part of that story. So like we're getting towards the end, so now we're gonna see like the thing that leads into Tainted Love. I'm very excited about that. But also Michael Easton should be coming around soon, right?
Yep. As Michael Morley.
Yep. Do they hint? Do you remember at Caleb? Because he was like, wasn't he like locked up in like a cave or something?
I forgot.
Because you know how sometimes they'll put like little nuggets of the next arc in it. I wonder.
I know Michael is in this arc. I don't know if Caleb is, but I know Michael is.
Well, I guess we'll find out soon.
Yeah, and then like this all leads into the nurses' ball.
Right.
The last nurses' ball that GH and Port Charles does.
Was it the last nurses' ball until the 50th also, just for GH?
Yes, I think it was until the 50th.
Wow.
Because I think that's when Wendy Reich, that's when she steps down as EP.
Okay.
And that's when Joe Farron Phelps is in. We'll just
and was there for like 10 years.
Was there for like a long time. Okay. Kill me in the comments, but a lot of Joe Farron Phelps' stuff was not bad. Except killing off the Quartermains, killing off Georgie. I think she did bring in a lot of these weird characters that I didn't like Angel. I don't know, was Angel under her?
Well, wouldn't she have also killed off Tony during
killed off Tony. Yep, she killed off Tony. Yep. But they did nothing with him too, so I'm kind of like, what have they done with him? Because I mean, obviously Lucas was there, but then they didn't really know what they were doing with Lucas when he came out. It was probably one of the weaker coming out storylines in daytime.
It was,
which I'm kind of glad that they came back and he was already out. So
I mean, like, I don't know, like, what the lead up to it was, but I had watched his coming out because it was during the virus storyline. And it seemed like it just happened in the middle of the virus. Tony was accepting. Bobby was kind of like, "Are you sure?" And and that was
And
it.
then Tracy tried to come at him, and Bobby defended him, which was a really epic scene.
Oh, I didn't get up to that then.
Yeah.
I
Once you get to that, let me know.
I finished the virus. Like, everybody's fine. People died. What's her name? The one that they called Kung Fu Barbie on Daytime Confidential.
Yeah, Courtney.
Courtney.
The journey is over.
See, I didn't hate her as much as people seem to, like, I see on the internet hated her.
I think I liked Alicia Lee Willis more than Courtney. I think because I remember seeing her in the last season of Another World.
Mm-hmm.
She played Amanda's daughter, Allie,
Mm-hmm.
who was also played by Lindsay Lohan. And then, what was it? Are those the bikes from Port Charles?
I'm sorry for the added noise in the background. I think the landscapers are here and they're like right outside.
There are definitely more destructive things that Jill Farren Phelps has done. Yes, kill me for that for this opinion. I think General Hospital is probably her more successful thing, even though it was less hospitals.
More mob.
More mob. General Mobsicle, as they called it. I think it was called what was it? Oh my god, what's the board? What was the name of the board I used to be on a little bit? Soap Opera Network. That was what Soap Opera Network. That's what it's still up if you want to go on there. So
well, do you have anything else to add about these 2 weeks before we wrap it up?
One more thing, not about Jill Farren Phelps, we're pushing her off to the side for now. But when I like the part when Jack, Livy, and Allison went to the race, and then Jack was cheering Macho Ball, and Allison just looked at him like, "What
the fuck?" All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Port Charles Time in a Bottle. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. Until next time, have a great night, day, whenever you're watching this. Bye.
Bye.